The following video captures something deeply unsettling that began with what seemed like a completely harmless decision. A family purchasing a decorative poster and hanging it on their wall, something meant to add personality to their home, not change the atmosphere of it entirely. At first, nothing seemed unusual, but gradually, small disturbances began to surface. Things slightly out of place, strange noises at odd hours, and an unshakable feeling that the house no longer felt as calm as it once did. What made the situation more concerning was when friends who came to visit immediately recognized the poster, not as something unique or artistic, but as something they had heard about before, linking it to multiple accounts from different people who claimed to have experienced similar disturbances shortly after bringing the same or similar image into their homes. According to these accounts, the poster wasn't just decoration, but something that seemed to carry an effect with it, almost as if it acted as a trigger or focal point for whatever began to happen afterward. Taking those warnings seriously, the family decided to remove the poster, hoping that whatever had started would end with it, assuming that if the object was the source, then getting rid of it would restore things back to normal. But it didn't. In fact, it got worse. Watch.
Yeah, just rinse it. I'll grab it in a...
Even after the poster was gone, the activity continued, suggesting that whatever had been set in motion didn't simply leave with the object, but remained within the space itself. What followed was a series of events that turned their home into a place they no longer felt safe staying in, with disturbances becoming frequent enough that leaving the house altogether began to feel like the only option. Now, they've stepped away from the home temporarily, planning to have it blessed and spiritually cleansed, hoping that whatever presence may have attached itself to the environment can be removed completely. But that decision opens up a much deeper question. Is blessing the house the solution? You be the judge. The following video is about a family whose nightmare begins the night they hear someone knocking on their door long after everyone has gone to bed. From that night forward, the situation changes because it no longer feels like a one-time event, but more like something has come to their home and is now determined to get in, returning again and again as if waiting for the right moment or the right response. Watch.
No sé si se escuche. Oigan como si estuvieran en la parte de enfrente. No mames. Son las 2 de la mañana. Uy, cabrón. Voy a buscar las llaves. No mames, está acá enfrente, ¿eh? Uy. Bien, como... No mames. Ah, cabrón. No mames, cabrón.
Night after night, the knocking continues, never fully stopping. only varying in intensity, until one particular night when the situation escalates beyond sound alone, and they begin to hear a voice accompanying the knocks. Watch.
Tranquila, ¿eh? ¿Qué quieres?
Johnny, por favor, ábreme.
Oye, escuchas.
Sí, ábreme ya. Apúrate, ándale.
¿Qué quieres?
Johnny. Johnny, ábreme.
No te voy a abrir.
Ábreme.
No te voy a abrir.
Ábreme ya.
Calma la niña. Tranquila, mami.
Ándale.
No te voy a abrir. Vete.
Johnny.
Oye, no manches, ¿viste?
Ábreme.
Vete. Esto es impresionante. Lárgate, lárgate de aquí. No te voy a abrir, lárgate. Lárgate. Tú no perteneces aquí. Vete.
What makes that moment especially disturbing is that the voice sounds like his wife, familiar, recognizable, and close enough to create confusion, yet completely impossible because she is already inside the house. The knocking grows more aggressive, more demanding, as if whatever is outside is no longer testing, but insisting, trying to be acknowledged, trying to be let in. Weeks pass with this constant pattern, the lack of sleep, the tension, the uncertainty slowly building, until the man finally manages to capture something else on camera. Something that pushes the situation into an entirely different level of fear. Watch.
Ceci. 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 Hey. Mira. Oye. Oye. Mira, asómate por la ventana despacito, ¿eh?
¿Por la qué?
Asómate por la ventana despacito.
¿Por la ventana?
Sí. Mira. ¿Ya viste? ¿Ya viste?
Sí. No mames, güey. A la madre.
Y nos está viendo.
No mames.
Espérate.
Cierra.
No, espérame.
Papi, cierra.
No,
Se
espérame.
está viendo.
Sí. Mira.
A la madre. Me empieza a sentir mal.
Tranquila, pero es que tranquila, o sea, mira.
Mira cómo nos está viendo.
No mames, ese es idéntico a ti.
Sí, ahora soy yo. No mames, pero mírala.
Y es que no se mueve, ¿eh?
No, y nos está viendo. Ya cierra.
Espérame, quiero ver qué hace. Espérame, guarda silencio. Que le vas a despertar a la niña.
Sí.
No, hombre, sí está bien cañón, güey. Está muy fuerte, ¿eh?
Sí. Oye, tocar.
Se escucharon golpes,
Se
¿verdad?
escucharon golpes.
A su máquina.
No
A tu
manches, ¿a
mames.
dónde fue?
No mames.
What appears outside is not just a figure, but something that looks exactly like his wife, standing where she shouldn't be, a doppelganger that mirrors her appearance without explanation. In many accounts and belief systems, encounters with a doppelganger are not seen as harmless coincidences, but as warnings, signs of intrusion, or even entities attempting to imitate someone in order to gain trust or access. And, as if that wasn't enough, the situation begins to expand, because the family soon starts hearing voices that resemble their older daughter as well, voices that occur when she is nowhere near the source, suggesting that whatever is outside is not limited to a single form, but is capable of mimicking different members of the household. Although the knocking becomes less frequent over time, the tension never truly fades, and after installing security cameras in hopes of understanding what is happening, they capture something even more disturbing. Have a look.
Miren amigos, ya es bastante tarde. Vean, en el primer piso la cámara nos empezó a detectar movimiento. ¿Qué crees que se hace?
Mames, es otra vez esa cosa. ¿Ya viste a quién se parece ahora? Mira, y con la muñeca, güey. Mira,
Amigos, ya todos están dormidos, miren.
Sí, ya todos. Es por él que empezó a detectar, me desperté. Mira. La pena, no sé qué le hace. Oye.
Es como una niña, ¿será que está imitando a Cari?
Ajá, yo digo que sí.
Pero se le ve el rostro raro, ¿no?
Sí, o sea, no se ve bien, se ve como deforme. Mira, ¿ya viste?
La neta, amigos, estamos bastante sacados de onda. Está muy cañón todo esto. La verdad, estoy sorprendido. Vean, voy a tener que bajarse, sí.
No,
Sí.
Cris,
Dame la cámara.
¿te la doy?
Sí. Voy a ir con la cámara, chicos, para que... Aquí está mi hijo. Sí, tú tranquila. Chicos. No mames, güey. Mira, chicos. Ahora que vi que se metió. Pero no hay nadie. Ve. A la máquina.
Before you ask. Yes, they eventually opened the door, and that decision changed everything. From that moment on, the activity was no longer confined to the outside. In this clip, they capture a figure sitting in the living room, appearing to be their older daughter, quietly playing with a doll on a chair. A scene that might seem normal at a glance, except for one critical detail. Their real daughter is asleep beside them in the room at that exact time. What started as knocking from the outside has turned into something that now exists within the home itself, moving from imitation to presence, from persistence to access, leaving the family in a situation where the line between who is real and what is not becomes increasingly difficult to trust, and until more updates are shared, what exactly they have let in remains something no one has been able to fully explain. This next video is about a woman who, by her own account, may have unknowingly allowed something into her home, not through anything dramatic or intentional. but through a moment that at the time felt insignificant, something as simple as responding to a strange sound outside late at night. Since then, she claims the atmosphere in her home has changed, not all at once, but gradually, in ways that became harder to ignore as the days went on. Watch.
So this is day 3 of the weird, strange occurrences at our house. Right now this light has been steadily blinking for about 20 minutes and maybe 10, and I just don't understand why. Okay, now it's like not blinking at all. I guess it's okay now. But that and the hearing the voices and stuff sometimes, and hello? 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 Who's here? Who's here? Okay, I'm kind of freaked out. Going back inside the house. See what I mean though? This is the stuff I'm talking about. Like, why is this stuff happening? I'm really thinking about moving away. I think that we should move away. Oh my God! Did you see that? Oh my God. Oh my God.
After briefly going outside and finding nothing, she returns, only to walk into something far more unsettling, a chair inside her home moving on its own. Moments later, the situation escalates again as the door suddenly opens by itself, wide enough to remove any doubt that something has interacted with it. In many interpretations, moments like the one she described earlier, opening a door, responding to an unknown sound, or acknowledging something unseen, are often considered points of access, small actions that may unintentionally allow something to cross from outside into a space that was previously undisturbed. Whether or not that belief holds any truth, the pattern in this case raises questions, because everything seems to begin from that moment, and everything that follows builds on it. Now this next video presents a deeply unsettling example of how far things can escalate when unexplained activity is left to continue over a long period without being addressed, especially when whatever is present begins to shift from affecting the environment to affecting the person living in it. The man in this video, Jorge, explains that for quite some time he's been dealing with recurring shadow figures and a series of disturbing events that initially seemed external. Things moving, shapes appearing briefly, and the constant feeling that he was not alone in his own space. However, over time, the situation began to change in a way that was far more personal, as he started experiencing a level of exhaustion that didn't match his routine, describing a kind of fatigue that didn't go away with rest, as though something was gradually draining his energy rather than him simply being tired. That shift from environmental disturbances to physical impact is often what makes cases like this more concerning, because it suggests a deeper level of interaction. Then, something terrifying happens. Watch. What is seen in the footage has led many viewers to describe the moment as a form of possession, where the individual is no longer fully in control of their own actions, but instead being influenced or overtaken by something else. According to Jorge, he has no memory of what occurs during these episodes and relies entirely on recordings from his security cameras to understand what happened, which adds another layer of fear, because it means there are moments in his own home that he cannot account for or recall. He has been advised by others to avoid being alone, to have someone present in case another episode occurs, but that suggestion comes with its own risk, as he himself questions whether it is safe to involve another person, not knowing what he might be capable of doing if he loses control again. That uncertainty creates a situation where isolation feels dangerous, but company may be just as risky. In an attempt to protect himself, he has tried several methods commonly associated with spiritual protection, placing salt around his bed, along windows and doorways, and using holy water in an effort to cleanse the space. Actions that in many belief systems are thought to create boundaries or reduce negative influence. For now, his only hope is that this works. In the following video, a man named Moses shares an experience that began as an ordinary family moment. One of those small, everyday decisions that seemed completely harmless at the time, when he and his family were heading home one evening and his daughter asked if they could stop by a small playground nearby, just for a few minutes before calling it a night. Although he was initially reluctant, seeing it as a minor delay, he eventually agreed, not expecting anything beyond a quick stop for her to play and burn off some energy. But as the minutes passed, they noticed someone positioned behind a tree, appearing and disappearing in a way that felt intentional, watching them at intervals rather than simply passing by. The behavior was enough to make them uncomfortable, and without waiting to understand more, they decided to leave immediately. However, the experience stayed with them, and instead of dismissing it, they returned on another day, this time without their daughter, approaching the situation more cautiously, keeping their distance and relying on their camera's zoom to observe the area without getting too close. Watch.
Ay, pues se prendió. Pero miren, chequen nomás. Estamos solos, no hay nadie aquí en la presa. Aquí vinimos de nuevo para checar otra vez lo del mentado árbol que habíamos, de susodicho árbol, no, pero pues la neta, esta vez la verdad no quisimos bajar, ni quisimos, miren, aquí estamos yo y mi esposa, y pues la neta esta vez no quisimos bajar, por precaución, porque no sabemos qué es lo que puede haber ahí. Entonces mejor nos quedamos aquí, pero ahí se mira donde está solo. Miren, ahí están los juegos, donde está nada prácticamente. Ay, no mames. Mira. No me jodas. Ay, nomás chequen ustedes, miren. No, vámonos mejor. Vámonos. No, esto no está bien. Vámonos. Aquí definitivamente sí hay algo. Ay, nomás chequen, juzguen ustedes. Y mira, y nomás ese aparato es el que está. Nomás ese aparato es el que se está moviendo. No, sí está cañón. Vámonos mejor. No, vámonos ya. Bueno, nos vemos. Aquí ya mejor ya. Hay que dejarlos a gusto a los fantasmitas que estén haciendo ejercicio. Bueno, vámonos mejor. No está. Vámonos. Bye.
After sharing their initial experience, several people who recognized the playground came forward with their own accounts, describing similar moments where they thought they saw movement, only for it to disappear too quickly to confirm, leaving behind uncertainty and doubt. When multiple people begin describing the same kind of movement in the same location, always quick, always just out of reach of certainty, it leaves behind a question that is difficult to settle, whether what they encountered was simply a misunderstanding of shadows and distance, or something that remains in that playground, revealing itself only in moments where it knows it won't be fully seen. The following video was captured inside a hospital by Dave, a man who claims he's been gifted with sight since he was young. According to him, he doesn't just sense things, he sees and hears them, and he says spirits tend to follow him, especially in places where emotions are intense, like hospitals, cemeteries, abandoned buildings, places where life and death have crossed paths. While Dav was receiving treatment, he suddenly felt like he wasn't alone in the room. Watch.
There's like something in this room that is like moving, like the chairs. Move this shit right here. Oh, my bad. That should hurt. But anyways, if there's a spirit in here, just let me know, you know. And sometimes things, this is Kaiser. Oh, man. I felt like a really, really heavy presence in this room right when I walked in, but I just thought I see something sitting right there. I'm sorry. My phone. That's not good. There's a lot of things happening here. Again, that door slowly opened and closed right now. If there's anything in here, just give me a sign. I'm here in peace. Okay, you can say anything. Just don't mess with my heart monitor or anything. That started to move. But it could be people up there. I just in here. Something in here, TV or something. Move anything you want. Let the people know that you're here. Speak into this thing. Show me your hair, presents. You could, I got a gift, and I'm not afraid. So if you decide to move anything, open that door again, I won't be frightened. What the hell? Oh. Whoa, shh. Excuse me, nurse. Oh, that's some activity. Excuse me. This thing fell. Right here. Yeah, I don't know. I maybe it just fell.
Oh, weird.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was just sleeping and.
Well, that scared you, huh?
Yeah, it scared the shit.
I was worried. I thought you fell.
Oh no.
It wasn't you. All right.
Okay, people, that was a scary situation. I know I didn't jerk, but yeah, it's ghost activity. Oh my god. Oh crap. Well, I got the gift, but I'm not gonna abuse it. I just asked for, little signs here and there. They showed them to me. Nothing to be alarmed about, people. Didn't feel it was evil at all. But, whoa, I know you guys heard that over there. Woo! Anyways, God bless you guys. I'm not gonna entertain them anymore because I don't need my heart to go racing. God bless you guys. But anyways, I was gonna cut this video short, but right when I was gonna cut it short, something else happened. But I'm waiting for it to happen again. So this right here, mind you, this is the only sliding door that's open. But this right here pulled all the way back this way. So what happened last time was I was asking it for a sign, and it pushed over this metal thing right here. I had to tell the nurse I was sleeping because I didn't want her to think I did the shit, or I just told her I don't know. I didn't know what to, make up, but this shit is it's crazy, And all I asked is for a sign, and they give them to me. But the thing is, I'm like used to it under the signs, But in hospitals, there's a lot of activity, and I already know like I'm gonna find something, that would like give me a sign or whatever. Oh, just like that. That was up there under my sweater or some shit. Okay. I know you're not welcome here, so you can go back to wherever you come from. Cause I'm gonna take a nap. And this arm right here you can't do nothing with it. It hurts. So I gotta lay on my side right here. Hey people, God bless you, blessings, and man, pray for me.
If you listen closely, after he says, "I'm here for peace," a faint whisper can be heard saying, "Help," and then what sounds like "knife." That detail is what unsettled viewers the most. Some speculate it could be the spirit of someone who passed away in that very room, possibly someone connected to surgery or a traumatic procedure. Hospitals are places of healing, but they're also places of loss, fear, and unfinished stories. In paranormal theory, strong emotional events can leave behind residual energy, like a recording that replays under the right conditions. Others believe this could be an intelligent haunting, meaning whatever is there is aware and responding directly to Dave, especially since the whisper appears right after he speaks. During his stay, Dave also mentioned feeling a heavy presence near the chair in the room. He said the energy felt concentrated there, like someone was sitting and watching him, but when he looked, no one was there. Of course, skeptics argue hospitals are full of ambient noise, machines humming, distant voices, equipment moving, and audio pareidolia can make random sounds seem like words. According to them, when you expect to hear something, your brain can fill in the blanks. So was it simply hospital acoustics playing tricks on the ears? Or did someone or something in that room hear him when he said he came in peace and answered back? You decide. In this next video, Andrea is walking her dog late at night when something in the distance makes her stop. At first, she thinks it's just her eyes adjusting to the dark, but then she notices shapes that don't look quite right. So she pulls out her phone and starts recording. Have a look. In the distance, 3 shadow figures appear to be standing completely still. Some believe they could simply be people standing under poor lighting, their features swallowed by the darkness. At night, depth perception becomes unreliable. Streetlights can distort proportions, and shadows can merge together, making ordinary figures look unnaturally tall or solid black. But others argue something feels off. In paranormal discussions, shadow figures are often described exactly this way: human-shaped, lacking detail, and usually seen in peripheral vision. They're said to be watchers, observers, and in some reports, they appear in groups of 2 or 3. The fact that there are 3 of them standing together raises even more concern for believers. Some theories suggest that multiple figures appearing at once could indicate something more intelligent or coordinated, not residual energy, but active presence. As for danger, most accounts claim shadow entities don't always attack, but they can induce fear, paralysis, or a feeling of being targeted, and fear is something certain entities feed off. Whatever they were, one thing is clear: they weren't moving, and they were aware enough to stand there while being filmed. Until clear footage surfaces, what Andre saw that night remains a mystery. Now in this next video, a team of paranormal investigators visit an abandoned house that locals have refused to go near for years. The place has been empty for decades, and as many paranormal researchers will tell you, abandoned buildings have a way of holding on to energy. When houses are left to decay, especially ones tied to unknown histories, tragedies, or sudden departures, believers say the energy inside can become stagnant, trapped. So the team sets up their equipment: EMF readers, cameras, and most importantly, trip wires. For those unfamiliar, trip wires are extremely sensitive devices designed to trigger if something physically passes through them. Not wind, not distant vibration, but something crossing the line. As they begin asking questions, trying to provoke a response, this happens.
And see what's popping. Nope, that's not a new tripwire. That's the same tripwire that we use at the breakfast date, that I've used in other places. Okay. That door just opened up by itself. I didn't even get that far. Dude.
You were not pure either.
This door just opened up by itself. Here we go. Wait. Crazy, right? That was me. I bumped into the table here. If you heard something rattle, that was me. But that door opening up.
Paid. Quite clean.
The trip wires suddenly went nuts, and then, almost on cue, the door slowly opens by itself. Skeptics argue structural shifts could trigger the wires, but paranormal experts would say something else entirely. They believe abandoned spaces can act like containers, especially if something tragic happened there. If investigators actively try to communicate, they're essentially knocking on whatever door exists between worlds. And sometimes, something knocks back. Abandoned buildings already carry risk, unstable floors, toxic air, human squatters. But if something unseen is also moving through the halls, that's a different kind of danger. So was this structural coincidence, or did something in that house finally respond to being called out? You decide. The following video was recorded by a woman named Simone during what was supposed to be a normal evening walk. Watch closely. If you pause at the right moment, you'll notice a dark figure leaning against a tree before it suddenly darts away. At first, Simone brushed it off. Maybe it was a trick of the light, maybe someone was hiding. But what unsettled her wasn't just what she saw, it was what she felt after leaving the area. Even when she had completely walked past the tree line, she couldn't shake the sensation that someone was still behind her, matching her pace. On her way home, she passed a strange building she'd never paid attention to before. This time, she went in. As she steps inside the dark room, look toward the right side of the door near the end of the clip. Something shifts behind it. Simone later said that's when the idea first crossed her mind. What if whatever she saw near the tree wasn't random? What if it was watching her? A few evenings later, she passed the same building again, and this time she heard a voice that sounded exactly like her sister calling her name.
I don't know why the lights are on, but I'm going inside of this house. I just heard my sister's voice, and I'm sick of this. And I need to figure out what's going on so I can put a stop to it. Why is this chair in the middle of the floor?
Mimicking entities are considered particularly dangerous. They don't just appear, they imitate familiar voices to lure people closer. When Simone stepped inside, she noticed a chair positioned strangely in the middle of the room. Before she could even finish talking, she saw the figure again. After that encounter, she convinced herself the entity was attached to the abandoned house, not her. But that assumption didn't last long, because soon after, her own home stopped being quiet. Banging at night, footsteps when she's alone, whispers she can't trace, and an overwhelming sense of fear that comes without warning. One day, a friend visited after hearing everything, and this happened.
Hey guys, it's Simone again.
You kidding me?
Yeah. So I'm here with my friend Lexi, and I thought that this was over, but it's still happening. Something from this entity is still trying to get to me, so...
I thought you were kidding.
No.
Like, this is horrible.
I'm not kidding.
I don't know how you've been living like this. This is literally, like, I've checked this door 5 times. There's no way anyone is in the backyard.
Yeah. So, still going on, and I just wanted to come back and report to you guys that it's still impacting my life every day.
I'm so sorry. This is insane.
Here's the unsettling theory. If the activity followed Simone home, then this may not be about a haunted location anymore. It could be attachment, a phenomenon where an entity fixates on a person rather than a place. And attachments, according to paranormal researchers, rarely fade on their own. It's hard to walk away from something like this without answers, but Simone isn't ready to stop investigating until she understands what's happening. Now, this strange video was posted on December 27th, 2025 by a veterinary hospital in Madison, Alabama. But what makes it even more unsettling is that the footage itself had reportedly been kept private for nearly 4 years. According to the clinic's owner, Renee, something happened that night that caused all employees on shift to stop what they were doing. Have a look.
That's weird. Where is that coming from? It don't sound like it's coming from. Okay, so you still want to do banana bag, 15 mils an hour, head of starch, 4 mils an hour. It's coming from over this way. Alright. Medication, metronidazole, 15 mils BID, IV. Wait, is it Scarlet? Clipped off. Wait. I clipped it off before getting meds. Is my drunk off up there? What's coming from up there? They may have done that when they switched the bag. Is it the new bag for it? No. Alright, who's gonna get it? Help me. It's in the lobby. It's coming from the lobby. No, it's not. Where is it? It's not in here. What is that? What, phantom dollars? here. A dog keeps yapping. Is it Dakota? No. Look at from over here. Why don't you look in the front porch and make sure they didn't dump one or throw one in the pen outside or something? I didn't hear anything. You're not hearing that. Maria has heard it. I didn't hear it, no. You heard it, right? I heard it. I didn't hear it. It sounds like it's coming from this side. You can't hear it at either, though, right? No. Look at that fence out there and make sure somebody throw one in the fence. I heard nothing. I was like, what are y'all talking about? Yeah, that's a brand new thing. That's fucking bizarre. Yeah. I haven't heard it. I still haven't heard it. All three of us heard it. And it was coming from that. It sounded like it was in that room or something. Like it sounded like it was like right before your board. We're gonna play that back. I didn't even hear anything. Can you play it like specifically in those rooms or anything?
After reviewing the footage, Renee says there was no logical explanation for what they witnessed. And this wasn't an isolated event. Over time, strange activity became almost routine inside the clinic. Dog kennels securely latched would open on their own in the middle of the night. Office supplies and lightweight equipment were found scattered across rooms that had been locked. Staff members reported hearing scratching sounds coming from empty runs long after the last patient had gone home. Sometimes motion sensors would trigger in rooms where no animal was being treated. For a veterinary hospital, that detail hits differently. Because this isn't just any building, it's a place filled with heightened emotion, fear, grief, relief, heartbreak. It's where some families say goodbye to beloved pets, and many pet owners will tell you that after their animal passes, they still hear the faint scratch at the door, still feel the weight at the foot of the bed, still think they see a quick shadow dart past in the hallway. Some believe animals, especially loyal ones, linger, and that's the theory whispered among staff. That perhaps some of the dogs who passed away in that clinic never fully left, that the scratching isn't imagination, and that the kennel's opening isn't mechanical failure. So, what do you think? Is it residual energy, emotional imprints replaying themselves, or something else using the setting to its advantage? Renee says she doesn't know what's in her clinic, but she's no longer convinced it's empty after closing time. In the following video, a man known for being blessed with sight, the rare ability to perceive things beyond the physical realm, visits yet another reportedly haunted house, one that's left its owners sleepless and terrified. They've complained about lights flickering violently in the middle of the night, furniture dragging across the floor on its own, children's laughter echoing through empty rooms, and the constant feeling of being watched from dark corners. Hoping to understand what's been tormenting them, he decided to visit. From the moment he arrived, he began sensing several energy shifts. Watch this.
Maybe some of these objects were haunted. What the f? Yo, this is moving and this is moving. Why isn't this one moving? I'm used to this shit already. You know what I mean? Like, if don't follow me home. Can you stop this? Stop it right now. Stop. It's going even faster now. Look at this shit. And this one's perfectly. There's no wind at all. Look at the trees outside. I don't feel nothing negative though. But anyways, man.
According to him, the more fear a person shows, the stronger the activity becomes. He believes that spirits feed off fear, and that being terrified only invites them closer, almost like they draw energy from human emotion to manifest more clearly. This belief, he says, is what allows him to remain calm and confront the entities head on. But the next house he visited wasn't so quiet. The property's dark history involved a woman and her dog who tragically passed away inside. Ever since, the new residents have reported seeing a woman's shadow moving from room to room, often followed by the faint sound of paws on the hardwood floor. When he arrived at the house, this happened.
Cutting some stuff, but yeah, this is. one of the houses. Shit, the hell was it? What the Yo, out with it. Yo, the door just shut on me. So she passed away?
That's why when I'm talking, I'm talking to her because she did that with the other door to me.
Because I've been getting the chills all, like, the whole time I've been here.
Yeah.
And I actually seen a dog, like an apparition of a dog right here. Like a little dog, like yours.
Oh, really?
Right here, yeah. And I was like, right here, right in this area. She had a dog too, huh?
She had a dog, yeah, but I don't know what kind. I think it was a small dog.
Yeah, because I see on jobs, some houses, I see things, like, some houses, they're like with spirits.
Yeah.
Whew. But that door just shut. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, so I'm used to it by this. I mean, I'm always working in houses that have stuff in them.
Well, I guess because all these homes are old.
They're old and they're by trees. They say trees hold a lot of spiritual stuff
really?
in water, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. So that was the homeowner's family member. And she's also a sensitive like me. She sees it too and she talks. I explained to her, the lady I seen her, she said, yeah, that's her aunt, so I'm not crazy. Anyways, I'm out of respect, I'm gonna stop recording. Because that's her aunt and her living relative. God bless everybody.
For those blessed or cursed with sight, reality, and the unseen world overlap. So when he says he saw something, maybe he truly did. But as always, I'll leave you to be the judge. Now in this next clip, a guy named Josh has been hearing strange noises around his home for several nights. Soft tapping on his walls, doors creaking open on their own, and the faint sound of breathing right behind him whenever he's alone. So this time, he decided to grab his camera and check it out. Watch this.
I keep hearing shit downstairs. Rustling stuff. Check it out. Shouldn't be anybody here but me.
And let's not forget there was somebody in our house. By the way.
Go away.
If you look closely, you'll notice it. A dark figure standing perfectly still. But what really sent chills down everyone's spine was the moment it rushed toward him, followed by the violent force on the door, as if whatever was out there was trying to break through. Some viewers think Josh might be dealing with a shadow entity, a type of spirit said to attach itself to people rather than places, feeding off fear until it gains enough energy to manifest physically. Others think it could be the spirit of someone who died in the home, trapped between worlds, trying to make itself known. But the scariest theory is that Josh may have invited something in unknowingly, and now it refuses to leave. The video sparked a huge debate online about whether or not he should sage the house, but one viewer who claimed to be a paranormal expert took things further. According to them, Josh would need a Reiki master for cord cutting, a shaman for a full blessing, and a physical medium for cleansing and removal. They added that the house should be smudged with sage from top to bottom, starting in the attic and working down to the basement, making sure to cover every reflective surface and window. Every doorway and windowsill should be lined with salt. Afterward, Josh would need to ground himself by standing barefoot in the grass for at least 15 minutes before re-entering the home. Finally, he should use holy water, drawing a cross on his forehead, another on each mirror, and sprinkling it over his bed and the most active parts of the property, and continue smudging daily until proper help arrives. So, what do you think? Would any of that really make a difference, or is Josh dealing with something beyond cleansing? In this next video, a ghost hunter named Jake decided to investigate a haunted museum, and what he caught on camera is downright terrifying. Watch this.
Haunted museum, guys. Here's Sully the dog. The goat. Look at that face, bro. Sully, speak! Alright. This is where the Shadow Man was caught on camera, guys. This is a county museum. And we've heard all kinds of things in here. Footsteps, doors slamming. Oh my god. Creepy ass mannequins, dude. Hello? Okay. Guys, we've seen so many ghosts here. My dad actually captured a ghost on camera. We're gonna go into that room right now. We've seen the Shadow Man here. That's what he caught. You know what? I'll put the clip at the end of this video, so watch the end and you guys will see the clip of the Shadow Man. I swear I just saw movement in the mirror, dude. Did anybody else see that? Back here is where the Shadow Man was captured, guys. It was caught right here walking up these stairs. Anybody? What was that? Okay, screw this. Here's the footage of the Shadow Man, guys, and if you're still watching, hit that follow button and click on the live stream because I am probably live right now.
The movement, the strange noises, and the heavy stillness in the air made the whole place feel wrong. And for a moment, even Jake, who's been to dozens of haunted locations, admitted that something about this museum felt different. But maybe it shouldn't be so surprising. Museums are often said to be some of the most haunted places in the world. After all, they're filled with ancient artifacts, objects once owned or used by people long gone, some connected to death, war, or sacred rituals. Many paranormal investigators believe these items can hold residual energy, like emotional imprints of the past, replaying themselves over and over. Others think spirits can attach themselves to the objects that mattered most to them in life, especially if those items were stolen or disturbed. So was Jake picking up on one of those restless presences? Or was it something else entirely? Until more people come forward with similar experiences from the same museum, this one remains an open, unsettling mystery. The following video was recorded by paranormal explorer Nikolai inside an old abandoned house rumored to be deeply haunted. But during his exploration, something completely unexpected caught him off guard. Have a look.
So this is creepy. We're here breaking down the haunted house for the season. Just casually was walking over here. Just noticed that there's something by the cone.
Do you want to play with me and all my friends? Come out wherever you are.
This was not in the corn maze. This was not in the house.
Why do you look so scared? Everyone in the graveyard just wants to be friends.
No idea where this came from, and it's powered up.
I love the cemetery, especially at midnight, when it's colder, when the other children are long asleep, and the dead awaken.
Yeah,
Do you want to play with me and all my friends? Come out wherever you are.
That's gonna stay there. That's, yeah. That's gonna stay there. I don't know where it came from. And yeah, this is the life of working at a haunted house.
The look on the doll's face, and even worse, the words it was saying, were beyond unsettling. The tone of its voice, the unnatural way it moved. It was like the doll wasn't just repeating something pre-recorded, but actually trying to communicate. Some viewers even said it seemed aware of Nikolai's presence, almost responding to him directly. The creepiest part? The doll didn't seem finished. It kept moving its head slightly, like it had more to say, something Nikolai wasn't willing to stick around to hear. Shaken, he quickly left the house, saying he'd return another day to finish exploring. But after that encounter, he could only hope that when he does, that doll won't be waiting for him again. In this next video, a woman shares old footage from when she lived in a house she believes was haunted. Watch this. She says it started with whispers in the night, faint voices calling her name when everyone else was asleep. Then came the slow knocks on her bedroom wall, the kind that seemed to wait for her to answer. Some nights she'd wake to find her door wide open even though she'd locked it, or her TV suddenly turning on, blaring static into the dark. There were moments she'd spot shadows gliding across the hallway when she knew she was alone. And once, she found every cabinet door in her kitchen standing wide open, as if someone or something had been searching for something. Whatever was in that house didn't just want to be noticed, it wanted to be heard. So was she dealing with a mimic, a trapped spirit, or something far darker? You decide. In this next clip, Kyle, a guy who's become somewhat known online for sharing his ongoing paranormal experiences, hears strange noises coming from his attic one night. Curious, and maybe a little nervous, he decides to grab his camera and check it out. Watch this.
Y'all watch this and tell me what the hell it is. Is it cobwebs, a glitch, or a ghost? You tell me. I don't even really give a shit anymore. I don't care. I don't care if it's a ghost. I don't care if it's a cobweb ghost. Just keep your ass up there and shut the fuck. I haven't been posting lately because I've been trying to ignore this shit to see if it'll make it stop. But it ain't working. But in other news, I'm working on a new book. I think I'm gonna post about that. I think it's a pretty good idea. Takes place in a funeral home. I'll have some words about that soon.
After sharing the footage, many viewers who studied it closely believe Kyle might be dealing with two mischievous childlike spirits, entities that enjoy playing tricks, moving small objects, and causing harmless chaos, but never actually bring harm. Still, living with something annoying doesn't sound exactly comforting. Some, however, warned him to set boundaries immediately, saying that even playful spirits can turn restless or aggressive if ignored for too long, especially when they start feeling too at home. One comment even mentioned that child spirits aren't always what they seem, and that something darker might be disguising itself behind that innocent laughter. So, what do you think? Are these harmless pranksters, or something pretending to be? Now, in this next video, the popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian continues his exploration through one of Nebraska's most haunted places, the Argo Hotel. This time, he made his way to the Old Bar area, a section of the building where countless visitors have reported seeing objects move on their own. As his camera rolled, a glass sitting perfectly still on the table suddenly slid forward, as if an invisible hand had just given it a gentle push. But while that was already unsettling enough, something else happened that took Ian a moment to even process.
This whole place is giving me the heebie-jeebies. Is there anything else that you'd like to do? Alright, well, I'm definitely gonna leave a still camera in here to record to see if anything else happens when I'm away.
He had actually left the camera running while exploring other parts of the building, so when he later reviewed the footage and saw what occurred in that empty room, his unease grew tenfold. There was no one else inside, no wind, no vibrations, just the quiet, eerie stillness of a haunted bar and that unexplained movement caught on camera. The Argo Hotel continues to prove why it's one of the most active sites in the Midwest. And if this is what happens when no one's around, it makes you wonder, what else happens when the cameras aren't rolling? For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following video is a chilling reminder of why kids shouldn't be left alone outside at night. A young girl who had always dreamed of becoming a content creator decided to film herself at a park not far from her house. It was quiet, familiar, and felt safe, so she set up her camera, excited to record her video. But while she was focused on creating, something else was already there, watching, and waiting in silence. Watch.
Acompáñenme a grabar en una plaza enorme. Bueno, no le dimos importancia. Miren, toda la plaza. Ahora voy a poner el trípode aquí para que vean. Hay alguien. Estaba, miren. Eso. O sea.
Shortly after she starts filming, she notices a figure standing far off in the distance. At first, she tries to ignore it, convincing herself it's probably just someone passing by. But then, the figure moves, suddenly appearing in a different position. This time, it has her full attention. And then, it waves at her. The distance, the silence, the way it moves, none of it feels right, so she quickly decides to hide.
Uy, hay una persona y tengo... Ahí viene, chicos. Bueno, chicos, estoy aquí adentro, pero... Chicos... Voy a limpiarle un poquito la cámara.
What makes this even more disturbing is that she didn't hear footsteps, no sound of movement, yet somehow, whoever, or whatever that figure is, continues getting closer, moving unnaturally fast between positions. And then it appears right in front of her.
Chicos, tengo mucho miedo. Chicos, literalmente había una persona persiguiéndome. Entré abajo de la estructura en donde estaba el muñeco ese. Ay no, chicos, tengo mucho miedo. Se agacha. Chicos, desapareció. Se escuchan pasos arriba. Aquí abajo tengo mucho miedo.
Viewers were left deeply unsettled. Some believe it could be a shadow entity, something known to observe from a distance before approaching. Others say entities like this often appear in isolated places, especially at night, drawn to people who are alone and vulnerable. What troubles people most is how quickly it moved, and how silently it closed the distance. But to some, it was staged, or a prank. But I'll leave you to be the judge on this one. In this next clip, a man who works at a warehouse had been dealing with things he couldn't explain for weeks. It started small, hearing footsteps in empty aisles long after his coworkers had gone home. Sometimes he'd hear the sound of boxes shifting, like someone was moving inventory in the distance, but every time he checked, nothing was out of place. There were nights when he felt watched, especially near the back storage area where the lights didn't reach as well, and more than once, he heard what sounded like breathing behind him. Slow, quiet, only for the space behind him to be completely empty. One night during his shift, he decided to start recording, and that's when he caught this. Watch.
Quiero que chequen algo en esa tarima de ahí. Eso. Y chequen, estoy yo solo.
A figure passes by in the distance, but the moment he looks directly at where it should be, there's no one there. Some believe this could be what's known as a residual presence, something tied to the location itself, replaying movements over and over like a recording trapped in time. Others believe it could be something more aware, something that moves when it knows it isn't being watched directly. What makes this especially unsettling is how often warehouses become the center of stories like this. Large, quiet places where people have worked alone for years, sometimes leaving behind more than memories. But until he shares more footage or finds answers, whatever passed through that warehouse that night remains a mystery. Now, in this next video, a family's youngest daughter had been saying something that deeply unsettled them. On several nights, she would complain that someone was tickling her neck while she lay in bed. Not once, not twice, but repeatedly. Each time, she would quickly turn around expecting to see someone standing behind her, and every single time, there was no one there. At first, her parents assumed it was imagination, the kind children sometimes have when they're half asleep. But the consistency of it and the fear in her voice when she described it made them take it seriously. So they installed cameras in the living room and in the upstairs hallway, positioned directly toward her bedroom door, hoping to finally understand what she was experiencing, and then one day they caught this. Watch.
Okay.
In the footage, the girl suddenly reacts like something was touching her. But what makes this moment even harder to explain is that no one else is there. No sibling, no parent, and nothing visible that could have caused that reaction. Some viewers who slowed the footage down claim they could see something sitting very close to her, a faint shape moving beside her before she reacts. Paranormal researchers often warn that physical interaction, especially repeated touch, is one of the most personal and invasive forms of activity. It suggests intent, awareness, something that isn't just present, but actively engaging. And when it targets a child, it raises even more concern, because children are believed to be more sensitive and more open to things adults may not notice. What makes this situation more difficult is that the family doesn't believe moving would solve it. Many people who've gone through similar experiences say activity like this can follow the person, not the place, which means leaving the house might not mean leaving it behind. Right now, the family is searching for answers, ways to protect their daughter, and understand why whatever this is seems focused on her. Until then, this remains unsolved. In this next clip, a woman had been living alone with her dog when she began noticing things she couldn't explain. Doors she clearly remembered closing would be slightly open later. Her dog would stand in the hallway, staring into empty space, sometimes whining, sometimes wagging its tail like it saw someone familiar. At night, she would hear light footsteps moving past her bedroom. Not heavy, not aggressive, but soft, like someone small walking barefoot through the house. More than once, she woke up convinced she heard movement just outside her door. Eventually, the feeling became too constant to ignore. She installed cameras around the house, hoping to prove to herself that nothing was really there. But instead, she captured this. Watch. First, the door slowly opens by itself, then something far more disturbing happens. Something peeks out, and this time she sees something. The shape is small, and for a brief moment, it appears to resemble the apparition of a child standing there. This is where things become deeply unsettling. Child apparitions are often described as appearing harmless at first, small, quiet, non-threatening. But many paranormal researchers warn that not everything that appears as a child truly is one. Some entities are believed to take on innocent forms to lower fear, to gain comfort, and to remain unnoticed longer. What makes this even more disturbing is the behavior itself, peeking from behind doors, observing instead of immediately interacting. After seeing this footage, she didn't hesitate. She packed her things, took her dog, and left the house. She later said she wouldn't return until she found someone who could help her understand what she captured, and more importantly, how to make it stop. So what do you think she was dealing with? Now in this next clip, another family is going through something that has slowly turned their home into a place of constant fear. Their young son has been reacting in ways they can't explain. Some nights he runs out of his room saying someone poked him. Other times he wakes up with small marks on his body and points at empty walls, quietly saying, "He did it." At first they thought it was nightmares, imagination, or something he would grow out of. But as the weeks passed, the incidents became more frequent and more physical. It got bad to the extent that sleep became difficult, not just for him, but for the entire family. One night, while they were all asleep, another episode began. Watch. You can see how the boy shifts under the blanket as his feet bend unnaturally, then, suddenly, the blanket lifts like something grabbed it. The little boy immediately wakes up crying and shouting that someone pulled his foot. So to calm him down, his mother tells him she was the one who did it, hoping it would ease his fear. But deep down, she knew she hadn't even left her side of the bed. Later, when they reviewed the CCTV footage, the truth became impossible to ignore. There was no one else in the room, and yet something clearly interacted with him. Encounters like this are often described as direct physical interaction, one of the most disturbing forms of reported paranormal activity, especially when it involves children. Some believe entities target younger individuals because they're more sensitive, more open, and less resistant to their presence. The fact that the boy had already been feeling touches, being poked, and pointing to empty spaces makes this moment feel less like a single incident, and more like something that had been building over time. For the family, the fear isn't just what happened that night, it's the possibility that it could happen again. In this next video, Nate documents yet another disturbing escalation inside his home, and by this point, whatever he's dealing with has gone far beyond subtle or easy to dismiss activity. For those unfamiliar with his story, Nate has spent months trying to understand what's happening in his house. Footsteps moving through rooms when he was alone, objects not staying where he left them, his dog, once comfortable in every part of the house, suddenly refusing to go near certain corners and staring into empty space, growling at nothing. But then things got worse. He began waking up with scratches on his body he couldn't explain, and there was this constant, heavy feeling, like something was moving through the house. Then, one day, he heard knocking coming from the basement, so he did what most people wouldn't have the courage to do. He went to check. And that's when this happened. Watch.
Well, I made my way down to the basement. So I was hearing knocking coming from down here. I don't see anything. The knocking sounded like it was coming from right around here somewhere, because I was in the kitchen and I felt it in my feet. It's cold down here. Nothing out of the ordinary. Yeah. Just got super cold near me.
That voice didn't sound welcoming, and this isn't the first time whispers have appeared in his videos. Many people who followed Nate's story believe this could be something establishing presence, moving from passive signs like footsteps and object movement into direct communication. Now, this raises a much more serious question. If it's already speaking, what does it want from him? The following video was captured by a woman who believes something in her home has taken a disturbing interest in her two children. For months, she had been noticing things she couldn't explain. Her daughter would suddenly wake up in the middle of the night, crying and pointing toward corners of their room. Sometimes she refused to sleep altogether, insisting someone was standing near their bed watching them, and more than once, toys would occasionally end up in places no one remembered moving them to. She tried to convince herself it was nothing, but one night, her camera captured something she couldn't ignore. Watch this. She doesn't own any pets, and yet you can clearly see what looks like a tiny hand yank the cord. Some believe this could be the spirit of a child, entities that are often described as curious, drawn to other children, and capable of interacting with physical objects. But others warn that appearances can be misleading. There are countless cases where something presents itself as small or harmless, only to gain comfort and access to a family's space. But what makes this especially unsettling is the focus on the children. The activity isn't random, it's centered on their room, their belongings, and their beds. The mother says she wants to believe she's only being paranoid, but after watching this footage, it's hard not to ask, is this just fear playing tricks on her mind, or is something actually reaching out to her kids? I'll let you decide. Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian visits one of the most feared locations in Indiana, the Blackford County Jail. Built in 1879, this place wasn't just a prison, it was also the sheriff's living quarters, meaning law, punishment, and everyday life all existed under the same roof. For over a century, criminals were locked behind its heavy steel doors, until it finally closed in 1995. But according to locals, whatever was left behind never left. Visitors have reported hearing disembodied voices echoing through empty cells. Some claim they felt sudden sharp pains, only to later discover scratch marks on their skin. And one of the most frequently seen figures is believed to be Sheriff Townsend himself, a former lawman who many say still walks the jail, watching over it long after his death. When Ian stepped inside, he immediately tried to communicate with whatever spirit was present. Watch.
If there's anybody in this jail, and you can hear my voice, could you come talk to me? Could you sit at one of these chairs? How about this one right across from me? Could you pull it out? I hear that there's a man by the name of Ed Townsend. I heard that you were the sheriff here. You passed away from a heart attack, but they say that somehow you're still here. Holy shit, dude. Dude, those were footsteps. Holy shit. They were walking in that room over there. Dude, that literally came from back there. Damn. Did you just walk? Was that you just walking? I freaking heard you. Holy moly.
At first, nothing happens, but after nearly 40 minutes, heavy footsteps echo through the building, like a large man walking somewhere inside the jail.
I could have been walking across this floor. Holy crap. My heart is racing already, and I just started.
Still at the sheriff's office, Ian hears a sound like a chair creaking, and the unsettling part is, Ian was completely alone. Some believe this could be Sheriff Townsend himself, still occupying his office, still carrying out his duty, refusing to abandon the place he once controlled. Others believe the jail has absorbed decades of fear, anger, and suffering, and that energy never truly fades. For more haunting videos including Ian, subscribe to the channel now. The following clip was recorded inside Kyle's house, a place we featured several times on this channel. For the past few weeks, things have been unusually quiet, but as many people familiar with paranormal cases will tell you, long quiet periods don't always mean the activity is gone. Sometimes they mean something is building up. One morning, Kyle woke up to the sound of voices coming from somewhere inside his house. Watch closely. At first, he did what most people would do. He searched the house room by room, trying to find a logical source. No TV was on, no phone, no neighbors, nothing that could explain what he was hearing. But when he reached the basement door, things became even more unsettling. Viewers who analyzed the clip claim they heard a young girl's voice whispering, "He's coming." But Kyle doesn't have any children and no kids were anywhere near the house at the time. Several people urged Kyle not to respond verbally, especially not in the moment, a common warning when unexplained voices are heard, as acknowledging them is believed by some to strengthen the activity. For now, Kyle hasn't been able to explain what he heard that morning, just a voice that shouldn't have been there, and a house that, after weeks of silence, suddenly felt very. In this next video, a security guard shares more updates from his workplace, a place where strange figures have been showing up far too often to ignore. In earlier clips, he documented unexplained figures passing, and he thought it was going to be a one-off activity, but it happened again. One night during his shift, he noticed a white figure moving through the building once again. Instead of brushing it off, he decided to stand up and follow it, hoping to finally get a clearer look. Watch closely.
The storm is so bad that Ghost had to go upstairs. Look at the bottom right. Look. There you go. Look at that. It was cold. I'm like, oh shit. I wanted to follow it and feel. See, I'm trying to feel, like, follow the cold breeze. I saw it going towards the elevator. So I went there. It was actually a cold breeze towards the elevator, then it just stopped. So I'm like, damn. Shit. So I walked back thinking the motherfucker was gone. I guess it didn't want me to follow it. So I'm like, okay. Then something touched me. I'm like, what the? Something touched me. I'm still trying to see, like, where is it at? Like, it vanished, so how is it still touching me or something? I don't know. It's creepy. So I'm like, okay. Well, at least I saw it and followed it for a little moment. Then it went to vanish. I'm like, oh, yeah. So I was like, go ahead and take your ass upstairs and get warm.
Aside from briefly touching him, there haven't been any violent attacks, scratches, or aggressive behavior. This led many to believe this could be a non-hostile or friendly spirit, possibly unaware of its surroundings or simply repeating a routine it once had in life. But it happened again. On another night shift, the guard spotted the same faint white figure again, only this time it came through the door. And as the figure moved closer, he described feeling a sudden cold breeze, even though the building's temperature hadn't changed. Have a look.
I saw that motherfucker again. Just look real close. Just look. It's coming from the door, from outside. See it? It's faint. It's real faint. I'm looking at it, I'm like, hold on, let me feel if it's real. It's cold too. When I put my hand up there by it, it's real cold. Then it went back there towards the door, all the way back there in the back. I'm like, whoa. I wanted to see it went close to me or some shit. I'm like, oh, so ghosts, because ghosts do give out like a cold chill, like when you put, like, it's like a cold breeze there. I'm like, okay. Shit, I saw it came from outside too. I'm like, damn. And I wasn't even freaked out. I just wanted to see how it felt. I was like, that motherfucker cold in the mud. So I saw it. That shit is crazy, man. It's been a while since I've seen this, so like I said, it come every now and then, but you have to look real hard though, real hard to see it. It came from here and it went real slow. Just look real hard when you rewind the video.
In paranormal belief, sudden cold spots are often associated with spirits because it's said they draw energy from their surroundings to manifest or move. Many claim that when a temperature drops without explanation, it can signal a spirit passing through or attempting to interact. Despite multiple encounters, the figure has never spoken, it hasn't shown its face, and it hasn't revealed why it keeps appearing in the same workplace night after night. Until more updates are shared, this case remains unsolved. Now, this next video is about David, the man who bought a doll and almost immediately realized he'd made a serious mistake. At first, David believed the activity was tied directly to the doll, so he did what many advised. He locked it inside a cage and placed a Bible on top, hoping that would contain whatever presence was attached to it. But the activity in his house didn't stop. In fact, many viewers believe that while the doll may have acted as a trigger, whatever came with it may have already spread throughout the house long before it was locked away. One night, around 4 a.m., David woke up to get some work done, but as he finished and was about to head to bed, he began hearing something that immediately put him on edge. Listen closely.
Están escuchando, ¿no? Son pasos, esos son pasos. Y los estoy escuchando, ya van 2 veces que los escucho. Entonces la segunda vez dije, ok, termino de hacer la cama y empiezo a grabar. Ok, ya escucharon, ¿no? Bueno. Entonces, ¿por qué tengo la luz así? Porque me duermo con la luz de rojo, y ya está. Y para los que digan, esas cruces que no sé qué, son adornos, nada más. Entonces, ya encendí la luz del celular, ¿ok? Porque ahorita todo está apagado. ¿Qué voy a hacer? Ahí se escucha.
It sounded unmistakably like footsteps, and David was completely alone. In the same video, David addresses something many commenters had been focusing on, the red lighting in his room and the crosses on the wall. He explains that the red light helps him sleep, and the crosses are simply decorative ornaments, not ritualistic, not symbolic. But viewers aren't convinced. Many argued that red lighting is often associated with heightened emotional states or altered perception, while others insisted that symbolic objects, even when decorative, can still act as spiritual triggers, especially in an already active environment. Trying to locate the source of the noise, David followed the sound, and it didn't surprise anyone when the footsteps led him straight to the room where the doll was locked. But what shocked viewers most wasn't the room. It was what appeared just before he reached it, a face, barely visible, peeking out from the darkness, watching him. That single moment escalated everything, because now there were 3 separate concerns: the doll locked in the cage, the red light, and the cross ornaments, and now a visible presence that wasn't hiding anymore. David shared that this wasn't the first time he heard footsteps. One night, while he was home alone, he heard footsteps so convincing that he genuinely believed someone had broken into his house. Have a look.
Se escuchó que alguien venía así, hacia mí. Y fue cuando cerré la puerta.
After that incident, viewers advised him to prepare for the next time it happened, specifically by using talcum powder, a method some believe can reveal unseen movement through footprints. So when it happened again, David knew exactly what to do. Watch this carefully.
Talco para pies. No me importa usarlo todo. Bueno, amigas, bueno, amigos, así quedó. Ya está. No fue mucho lo que quedaba, ya se vació esto. Voy a dejarlo así, qué sé yo, toda la tarde y toda la noche de mañana, a ver qué pasa. Es decir, en 24 horas reviso. Ya está, antes de voy a encender la luz de esto. Todo eso está el talco, ¿ok? Sí se ve bien creepy, ¿no? Ah, cosa curiosa. El rosario de la Biblia ya no. A ver, así. Ya no encuentro el rosario de la Biblia. Y si se dan cuenta, la muñeca se volvió a mover.
As he pours the powder, something else happens. A voice can be heard. And for those familiar with David's story, this voice is disturbingly familiar. From the very beginning, David has described hearing a voice that sounds distressed, sometimes crying, sometimes calling his name, sometimes sounding like it's asking for forgiveness, as if whatever is there isn't just present, but suffering. Then, David noticed something else. The doll had changed position inside the cage, and the rosary he'd placed on top of the Bible was gone. At this point, even viewers couldn't agree on what was truly responsible. Some still blame the doll, others insist the house itself may already be haunted. A few believe it's the environment, the lighting, the symbols, the attention, feeding whatever is there. And then there's the face, because once something is watching you, it's no longer contained. So what do you think is causing all of this? The doll, the red light, the crosses, or the house itself? You be the judge. In the following video, a woman shares footage after more than 2 weeks of unsettling experiences, incidents that have slowly pushed her toward one frightening conclusion, that something may have attached itself to her. Watch this carefully.
I'm recording this to see if I can catch it on camera this time, but I'm home alone for the night and I swear I've been hearing noises. Usually this happens, but this time it died. Please tell me that you can hear it.
To a lot of people, this might not be a classic attachment case. Attachments usually don't begin loudly, they start subtly. A constant feeling of being watched, sudden emotional shifts that don't feel like your own, exhaustion that doesn't improve with rest, recurring intrusive thoughts, vivid dreams involving the same presence, or a heavy sensation in the chest or shoulders, as if something is always nearby. So this might be something else, a mimic. Mimic cases often present differently. Instead of targeting emotions or energy first, mimics focus on imitation. They copy familiar voices, repeat phrases the person has heard before, and create situations designed to provoke a response. And that's where the most important rule comes in. The number one rule when dealing with a mimic is this: do not respond and do not acknowledge it in any way. No speaking back, no calling out, no asking questions, no reacting emotionally. Sometimes, while attachments tend to drain and linger quietly, mimics provoke, and once they're acknowledged, they rarely stop. Until more updates are shared, the situation remains deeply unsettling. Now, in this next video, a man is simply giving his friends and family a tour of his new apartment. Nothing unusual, just a quick walkthrough to show the space. But he captured something terrifying. Take a look. It wasn't until one of his friends decided to slow the video down and examine each room more carefully that something disturbing stood out. As he walks past one of the rooms, there appears to be a woman standing still, facing the window. She doesn't move and she didn't turn. The man insists he was completely alone while filming. No roommate, no visitor. Viewers quickly began analyzing the footage frame by frame. Some believe it could be a reflection or a trick of lighting, but others pointed out that the figure appears to have depth and form, standing in a spot where no mirror or reflective surface should be. The posture is also unsettlingly natural, like someone quietly observing the outside world. So, what do you do when your new apartment already has someone living rent-free in it? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this one. This next video was captured by Nate, a man whose dog has been trying to warn him that something isn't right inside the house. One night, while Nate was home alone watching TV, this happened. Watch closely.
So I'm here watching football, and this light keeps going on and off. I was just up there going to the bathroom. Like, I checked the bulb, and the switch is right there. It just started doing this.
If it's just the lights turning on and off, some might say he's overreacting. Electrical issues happen, but when you factor in everything else that's already happened in this house, the situation becomes much harder to dismiss. We've heard whispers underneath several of Nate's past videos, faint, low, and not coming from the TV. There's also the clip where a knife was thrown across the room, even though no one was standing near it. And then there's his dog, who refuses to go into certain corners of the house, freezing in place, growling, or leaving the room altogether. And when multiple signs start stacking up, sound, movement, objects being thrown, and an animal clearly reacting, it begins to feel like something is escalating. For now, Nate hasn't been able to explain what's going on inside his home. So until more answers or updates surface, this one remains completely unsolved. Now in this next clip, popular Midwest ghost hunter Ian returns to what many locals consider the most haunted house in Minnesota, the infamous Boyd House. The home belonged to the Ehart family, Fred and Minnie, and was originally built back in 1901. As Ian entered one of the rooms, something immediately caught his attention. A light suddenly turned on by itself. At that moment, Ian knew he needed answers. Was this Fred, Minnie, or something else entirely? So he began asking questions.
Minnie, was that you that I heard earlier? Making all those noises? Turning on that closet light? Was that you? I feel him moving again. Thank you. I think they uncrossed. I hope you don't mind me visiting. It is a lovely place. You know, I keep coming back for a reason, right? What the heck was that? That sounded like a female voice, almost. It was like really faint. Minnie, is that you? There it is again. Okay. That is really really spooky sounding. It sounds like a woman, like humming. Like,
Was that Minnie, the former owner many believe still wanders the house, known for moving objects and interacting with the environment? Or has something else found its way into the Boyd house, drawn in by years of attention and investigations? The following video dates back to 2016, when a lady was 9 years old, spending time at home with her cousin, doing what most kids do, playing around, recording random moments, and not thinking too much about what might be happening in the background. Years later, after strange things in the house began to resurface, unexplained sounds, subtle movements, and that persistent feeling that something wasn't quite right, she decided to go back and review old footage, hoping they might have missed something back then. And that's when she found this. Watch closely.
Dude, what the heck, man? Who are you? Hello? What was that? Did you guys see that? Vines. Come on. Come here. Hello from the other side. Walking really funny. At least I got that on camera. Bye.
First, an unusual light appears. It's brief, easy to miss, but clearly there. And then, something else. A figure. When she reviewed the clip again as an adult, she said the shape looked like a baby figure. Small, low to the ground, and oddly formed. But once the video was shared, people had very different interpretations. Some were convinced it didn't look like a child at all. They believed it looked like a demonic figure. Others made a different comparison entirely, saying it resembled Pennywise. For context, Pennywise is a fictional entity from It by Stephen King, often portrayed as a shape-shifting being that commonly appears as a clown to lure children, but is actually something far more sinister beneath the surface. It's known for taking forms that feel familiar, yet deeply unsettling. And that comparison only made the clip more disturbing for viewers, because if something in that video really did resemble a child, then it becomes harder to explain. In this next video, a bus driver who had been working late shifts for years shares something that completely changed the way he viewed those quiet, empty routes at night, especially because he was used to long hours, isolated roads, and the kind of silence that most people would already find unsettling, yet had never experienced anything he couldn't logically explain until this particular night. After completing his final stop, he did what he always does, checking through his rearview mirror carefully to make sure every passenger had gotten off, scanning each row from front to back until he was certain the bus was completely empty. And once he confirmed there was no one left, he began the drive back to the station, already thinking about heading home to his family after a long day. For a while, everything felt normal. The road quiet, the bus steady, nothing out of place. And then, this happened. Watch. While he is driving, with absolutely no passengers on board, a voice suddenly echoes from inside the bus, loud enough to be clearly heard, saying, "I'm getting off here." But when he checks again, there is no one there. Some believe this could be a case where a past moment somehow imprints itself onto a place and replays under certain conditions, especially in environments like buses that carry countless people and experiences over time. But until more clips are shared, this one remains unsolved. Now, this next video was recorded by David, a name some of you might already recognize, especially if you've been following the channel for a while. For those who don't know, David once brought home a doll, something that seemed harmless at first, maybe even interesting because of its age and appearance, but not long after, he realized it was the biggest mistake of his life. His nights became restless, filled with strange figures appearing in his room, fleeting shapes that never stayed long enough to fully understand, and a voice that would wail in the dark, sometimes calling out different names, none of which he recognized. It got so intense that he eventually locked the doll inside a cage, placing a Bible and rosary on top of it, hoping it would contain whatever was attached to it. But even that didn't stop it. One night, after falling asleep, he had a nightmare so vivid it forced him awake. And when he opened his eyes, he saw this. Watch.
Tenía una pesadilla y despierto. ¿Por qué me estás jodiendo a cada rato? ¿Qué quieres? No entiendo qué es lo que... Ese, el quemado. Ese. Y no sé si escucharon lo que... No entendí muy bien. Pero... algo se escuchó. ¡Ah! Ahora sí sentí mucha adrenalina. Se desenfoca. No sé qué gana. Estoy escuchando música aquí de relajamiento. O sea, estaba durmiendo. Ya son las, ¿qué? 4:51 de la mañana. No entiendo. No entiendo. En serio, ya no sé qué hacer. Alexa, luz del cuarto blanco frío. Joder.
According to David, this isn't something he's seen once. He claims that same face appears to him almost every night, but the moment he switches on the light, it's gone. No movement toward the door, no sound of footsteps, and no space under the bed large enough for anything to hide. Now, did the doll bring something into his life? Or did it simply reveal something that was already waiting? You decide. The following video was recorded by a CCTV camera inside a man's home, capturing something that only came to his attention after he had already left the house for the evening. He had stepped out briefly with his nephew, who was visiting for the holidays, and everything seemed completely normal at the time. The house locked, quiet, and empty, just the way he left it. But on their way back, he received a notification from his security system, the kind that usually signals movement or unexpected activity inside the house. At first, he assumed it was nothing serious, maybe a minor glitch or something small triggering the sensor, but when he opened the footage to check, he saw this.
D. Front. Door. Center. Center is open. Disarm now. Disarm now.
After he shared the video, a lot of people were quick to dismiss it, suggesting that someone must have been inside the house, that the whole thing was staged, or that it was simply a person checking the room before entering. But that explanation raises its own questions, because if it were a person, why do the eyes reflect like that? I'll let you be the judge on this. In this next clip, a man shares an experience that began in the most ordinary way. Something as simple as going downstairs in the middle of the night to get a glass of water, a routine that should have taken only a few minutes, quiet, uneventful, and easily forgotten by morning. But as he made his way through the house, he started hearing something unusual. A voice, faint at first, almost blending into the silence, but clear enough that he knew it wasn't just his imagination. It didn't sound like a television or a phone left playing somewhere, and it definitely didn't sound like something coming from outside. It sounded inside the house. Curious, but uneasy, he decided to trace where it was coming from, slowly moving toward the direction of the sound, trying to make sense of it. And then he saw a strange figure. Startled, he immediately ran back upstairs, his first instinct not just to get away, but to record it, especially because he had already brought in someone to bless the house before moving in, sensing from the beginning that something about the place didn't feel right. Watch closely.
Entonces pues sí me despertaron y me dio sed. Entonces bajé por un vaso de agua y me regresé corriendo. Quiero que vean esto. A ver si todavía está ahí. Es que siempre que les quiero mostrar algo, parece que desaparece para hacerme quedar mal. No, sí, sigue ahí. No sé si se esté viendo. Hay algo ahí parado. Y está altísimo. No sé qué es. Perdón con la luz, es que mi perro se está atravesando. Y si lo suelto, va y le ladra y me da miedo que vaya a pasar algo. Ay Dios, ahí se ve mejor, pero se ve más feo. Ya, deja de moverte. Perdónenme. ¿Hola? ¿Hola?
Some believe it could be tied to the house itself, something that was already there long before he moved in, and that the blessing may not have fully removed whatever presence remains. There's also the idea that shadows like this are not just random appearances, but deliberate observations, something watching, learning the layout, understanding the person living there. Until more updates are shared, this one remains unsolved. Now, this next clip was recorded by a family's security system, something they originally installed both inside and outside the house for a very practical reason. They foster dogs, and with multiple animals moving in and out over time, they needed a reliable way to monitor activity, keep track of movement, and make sure everything stayed under control, even when they weren't actively watching. For a long time, the cameras only ever captured what they expected. Dogs wandering around, the usual sounds of a busy home, nothing out of the ordinary. But over the past month, something else started appearing, something that doesn't move like a dog and doesn't resemble any adult living in the house either. Have a look.
Alright, so break it down again. Where is it? There's the arm.
Arm, leg. There's another leg walking here.
You see it go over the snow.
Arm, leg, and another leg.
So if that's a leg, what's that? Is that the baby with somebody?
At the moment, they don't believe it's anything dangerous. In their view, with the number of dogs constantly in the house, any real threat, especially something physical, would have triggered a reaction. Dogs are known for their sensitivity to unfamiliar presence, and if something was truly there, they assume the animals would have barked, reacted, or shown signs of distress. But that assumption is exactly what unsettles some viewers. Some theories suggest that certain entities don't register as physical threats, meaning they can exist within a space without triggering the usual instincts in animals. Others believe that if something is subtle enough, It can move through an environment without drawing attention. And then there's a more unsettling possibility that whatever the camera is picking up is already familiar with the space. Familiar enough not to disturb the dogs, and familiar enough to move without being challenged. What do you think about this? Or are there some other reasons we're not seeing? The following video was captured by a CCTV camera at Ronald's workplace, a location that, according to several employees, had already been the subject of quiet conversations long before this footage ever surfaced, with workers occasionally mentioning glimpses of black shapes passing through hallways, reflections that didn't match anyone present, and that lingering feeling of being watched even in areas covered by cameras. But it wasn't until this clip went viral that those concerns became impossible to ignore, with many employees reportedly pressuring management to take action, convinced that whatever had been dismissed as imagination was now clearly visible on camera. Watch closely.
Ang laki nga yun, bukas na. Sasara niya ng biglayan kasi nga, ganun ba? Ang talaga yung mga sakit na yan. Maganda yun sa... Alam mo, ano kami yun? Ayun na po. Kita mo ako paano sa market dito? Ay, hindi. Ang pakahiwaga. Ay, pakpal niya na. Okay, ang lakas nun sa kanya, no?
Dark shapes move through the space, and some viewers believe it's actually one shadow, moving so quickly and unpredictably that it creates the illusion of multiple figures. Others are convinced it's something far more unsettling, that these are multiple shadows, different entities moving within the same space, overlapping, crossing paths, each one existing independently. You be the judge. The following video was recorded by the home security camera of a woman named Carla, who for several weeks had been noticing a pattern she couldn't ignore. Every night at around 10 p.m., her dogs would begin barking in the same direction, reacting as if something was there even though she couldn't see anything herself. At first, it seemed like one of those things you explain away, maybe a stray animal, a passing shadow, or something just outside the camera's range, but the consistency of it happening at the exact same time every night made it harder to dismiss. Eventually, she decided to go back and review the footage during one of those moments, hoping to finally understand what had been triggering her dog's watch. As the footage plays, something unusual begins to move, and at first glance, its shape and motion are unclear enough that her immediate thought was that it could be something like a UFO or an unusual light anomaly passing by. However, as it continues moving, the form becomes more defined, and what starts to emerge looks far more structured than a simple light, taking on the outline of a full human body, complete with what appears to be a face, before it passes out of view. After sharing the clip, the reactions she received were anything but ordinary, with some viewers suggesting that what was captured could be a demonic presence or even a fallen angel. There are also those who approach it from a different angle, suggesting that what appears in the footage could be something mimicking human form without actually being human, which would explain why it initially looks undefined before becoming clear as it moves. So, what exactly was caught on Carla's camera that night? A trick of light, something explainable that only looks strange on video, or something moving through her property that isn't supposed to be there at all? You decide. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, then you'll definitely recognize this house. The 263-year-old colonial home, known for its eerie attic and its deeply unsettling collection of dolls, has built a reputation over time that many viewers now describe as one of the scariest houses in America. And once you look into the history of what's been happening there, it becomes easier to understand why. Over the years, the owners have documented a wide range of unexplained activity, including shadowy apparitions moving from room to room, the sound of heavy footsteps echoing through the house when no one else is inside, disembodied voices that seem to come from nowhere in particular, and even their cat reacting in ways that suggest it is tracking something invisible as it moves through the space. One night this was captured on camera.
My phone just started dying and the notification did scare the shit out of me. Just did my skincare. And I am going back downstairs.
In the footage, the light inside the bathroom begins flickering, but what unsettles many viewers is the timing, because the moment she walks into the bathroom, the flickering stops completely, as if whatever was affecting the light suddenly ceased the second it was no longer alone. Another thing that truly made people uncomfortable came later, when one viewer pointed something out that others hadn't initially noticed. A face, caught for a brief moment. With everything that's already been reported in this house, it becomes difficult not to question every detail. Because when a place already has a history of movement, voices, and unexplained reactions from both people and animals, even the smallest visual anomaly starts to feel significant. For now, this one remains unsolved. In this next video, a security guard working at an Aurrera store shares a series of experiences that have gradually turned his routine night shifts into something far more unsettling than anyone would expect from a retail environment. What should have been a quiet job, mostly consisting of walking the aisles, checking doors, and making sure everything is in place, has instead become a pattern of strange occurrences that seem to follow him throughout the store. One day, while still on duty, he hears a strange noise coming from one of the aisles, something distinct enough to make him stop and investigate rather than dismiss it. Watch.
Otra vez están escuchando ruidos. Estaba aquí haciendo el recorrido, pero escuché un ruido aquí adentro. No sé si estaba crujiendo algo o no sé si... No sé. Qué raro. Ya no sé realmente qué hacer. Todo me extraña de este lado. Ya no sé qué hacer. Ya realmente no sé qué es lo que voy a hacer. Ya no entiendo ni qué es lo que está... ¿Qué cojones? No mames. Sácate a la verga, al chile, pinche mamada. Su puta madre. ¿Qué es eso? ¿Hay alguien ahí? ¿Qué es eso? ¿Qué se ve ahí al fondo? Oh, no mames.
From that point on, his shifts seem to revolve around trying to make sense of what is causing these disturbances, as he moves through the store, checking corners, scanning aisles, and responding to sounds that never seem to have a clear source. In another video he shared, viewers finally notice something. Watch.
Se asomó y la verdad me da mucho miedo estar viniendo a asomarme para acá. ¿Qué es eso? Se está moviendo el carro. Soy yo, se está moviendo esa mierda. No mames, se está moviendo. ¿Qué mierda pasa aquí? ¿Qué mierda está pasando? Se está moviendo esa porquería. No.
This time, it is not just the trolley moving on its own that draws attention, but a figure that appears briefly, positioned in a way that suggests it is watching him rather than simply passing through. What surprised many people, however, was his response when asked whether this only happens at night, because according to him, the activity does not follow a schedule. This is what his day at work looks like.
Desde hace rato se ve como que esa cinta se está moviendo. Y la verdad ya me está dando como un poco de miedo porque por todo lo que ha estado pasando ya ni sé qué realmente es lo que voy a hacer. Ya nada más me pongo yo mismo nervioso, ya no sé qué es lo que pasa aquí. No mames. Otra vez no. Ya, por favor, ya que ya no pasen estas cosas. Anda que me está dando un chingo de miedo. No mames, no, sácate a la verga ya. No mames, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué me pasan estas cosas a mí? ¿Por qué? Ya no quiero que me pase nada de esto, por favor. Ya no sé ni a dónde mierda esconderme. No mames, ya.
Even during the day, when the store should feel more active and grounded, there are still moments where objects move in ways that don't make sense, creating the impression that whatever is present does not rely on darkness or isolation to exist. But until more updates are shared, this remains unsolved.